The thing that's different about Godfather 3 and Godfather 2 is that Michael is different.
At this point, as I hope I've demonstrated, Part 3 is so far off kilter that it would be ridiculous to lay all the blame on a single issue.
Dad?
Not only is the plot tedious, silly, almost impossible to follow,
How does it end? How does it end?
but reliable characters back from the old movies no longer seem recognizable. Let's start with this incarnation of Michael Corleone.
Michael, where are you going? It's your favorite song.
I'm off into the kitchen to hear some Tony Bennett records.
What is that, a joke? This isn't Michael Corleone,
Sausage is on.
Oh, that's a sausage sandwich.
at least not the one I know.
But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again.
Why is he always smiling all of a sudden?
Buongiorno, senor.
When did he ever smile before? Sure, he smiled a couple of times when he was young and in love and all that. But from the moment he saw his first wife get blown up, he lost all sense of fun. Now all of a sudden he's smiling all the time and cracking bad jokes.
Maybe they should fear you.
Why? What the hell is so funny?
What the fuck is so funny about me? Tell me. Tell me what's funny.
And what's with this confessional? His whole life Michael's been Mr. Tight-Lipped.
Sometimes the desire to confess is overwhelming.
Bullshit. Even in this movie he makes a point of being stumm.
Never let anyone know what you're thinking.
But now suddenly he thinks it's okay to confess all his sins to a perfect stranger? Just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I killed my mother's son.
Oh no. But I guess that's nothing new with this film. From the very opening voiceover, we learn that Michael let his wife look after their children.
Although I entrusted your education to your mother for your own best interests.
Come on, this is the man who banned her from ever seeing her children again. This is the man who would never let anyone take his children away from him. Certainly not the woman who deceived him about the death of their child.
It was an abortion, Michael. It was a son, and I had it killed because this must all end.
So does anyone really believe that this man would ever let her look after his children after what she did? I didn't think so. Everything about Michael in this film seems foreign. From his haircut, to his humor, to his sentimentality. But his change in character is nothing compared to the transformation his sister Connie has gone through.
Now they'll fear you.
Frankly, her change of character is so gargantuan, so preposterous, so out of left field, that after a series of debates and studies on the matter, there can only really be two explanations. One, that Francis Ford Coppola completely flipped his shit and had no idea what the fuck was going on with this movie anymore and just decided, what the hell. Or two, that her body's been invaded by an alien life form from outer space which mimicked her cell structure perfectly and is now a replica of her former self, making abnormal decisions on her behalf and murdering people along the way.
Because it's different than us, see? Because it's from outer space.
But assuming that Connie is not actually a byproduct of alien invasion, why is she being allowed to sit in on meetings with Michael? Why isn't somebody telling her to get out?
Or she'll call it a tree.
Right? Let's take a look at Connie over the last two films.
What's the matter with you, Carlo?
Shut up and sit the table.
Sonny, it was my fault. I hit him. I started a fight with him. You just told me to make you dinner.
Hey, Bafangul, huh?
Oh, you! Read the papers. That's your husband.
Shut up and sit the table.
Can't you forgive Fredo? He's so sweet and helpless without you.
Shut up and sit the table.
So how did she go from this to managing to place herself into a position where suddenly she's able to give orders?
How would you do it?
I'd do it myself.
Orders to kill, mind you.
Do it!
And it's worth remembering that she's giving an order that is in direct conflict to an order Michael has already given, which was to not touch Joey Zaza.
I command this family. Right or wrong.
And yet, Connie, when he's in a coma, goes behind his back and says, do it. How did this ever happen?
Women and children can be careless, but not men.
No one in the Godfather saga has ever asked a woman's opinion or advice or included her in any aspect of their life when it comes to business.
Don't ask me about my business.
No.
So the idea that she's privy to decision-making and closed-room dealings, that she even goes so far as to kill someone herself, is so outrageous that you might as well burn the film right now. Literally, just take your DVD of Godfather 3 and put it in the incinerator. But at the end of the day, the buck needs to stop with Francis. He's the director, he makes all the decisions, he chooses people. Every scene and every little moment in this film suffers, mainly with plot and character development. And yes, the acting is bad, but it's much too easy to just blame Sofia Coppola as most people did.
This foundation is supposed to help all people.
Because her acting's not really that much worse than his, or hers, or his.
Buongiorno, signora.
Sophia was 18 or 19 at the time. Her father forced her into the position because Winona Ryder dropped out.
And I was really scared to do it. I just did not want to do it.
She's not an actress, and all things considered, she did the best she could do, and the best she could do as an actress is abominable.
Why are you doing this? Why am I doing this?
Francis was a more than experienced director at this point and should have fired her within the first week. After all, he fired Harvey Keitel off Apocalypse Now. Why not fire his own daughter? Maybe because she's his own daughter. But that's the point, isn't it? Coppola made one wrong decision after another. Maybe that's why the film's so confusing, because Coppola himself was confused about what the film's really about.
Because we need a little emotion. If we could put a little emotion, like in 3 places in the movie.
Was it about Michael, the Vatican, Immobiliari, gangsters, alien invasion, Sicily, opera, parenting, family, or just good old-fashioned incest? Who knows? I don't think Coppola did. Take this love story, for example. Most of the time, love stories revolve around a man and a woman who usually meet randomly and over the course of the next 90 minutes end up together. Along the way, they get together at around the halfway point, and then things usually take a dive, and they fight and break up, and it feels like the end of the world, and they go off and learn something about themselves, and the fact that they can't live without each other. And then, if it's a happy rom-com, the guy will usually run back to the girl and admit that he made a mistake and would rather be with her than with someone else, and it's always just before the end credits. And it helps if he has a flying car, but it's not essential. Now, not all love stories end well, of course. There have been some pretty obvious exceptions. But unless you're very confident in the romance genre, it's probably best not to stray too far from this template. Sure, you can play around with the conventions a bit. Sometimes the couple don't hit it off right away. Sometimes they don't even like each other. But that's half the fun, because we know they'll eventually fall in love because they're standing next to each other on the poster. And even if they don't actually end up together, we enjoy watching them develop because they have chemistry. There's electricity when they're on the screen together. And the rest of the movie's not important. What they do, for example, their jobs, or if they're in high school. At 35. It's just backdrop. All we're interested in is the main couple. And these rules don't just apply to boy meets girl. They apply to gay boy meets gay boy. Or straight girl meets gay boy. Or even straight girl meets straight ape. But if your lead romantic couple seem bland, then there's nothing you can do about it. The whole thing just deflates like a souffle in a cupboard. And if you add to the mix a lot of other business which is meant to take precedent, then it becomes even harder for us to care about the love story because it's been forced too far into the background. Sophia probably felt awkward flirting and doing love scenes in front of her father, and because she and Andy Garcia have almost no chemistry between them, we end up zoning out instead of getting invested in their story. It says something that Apollonia is on screen a lot less than Sophia, and barely says a word, and yet we're completely invested in her story. But this is one of the major flaws in Godfather III, that it even has a love story to begin with. The Godfather is about family, not romance. It's romanticized, but it's not romantic. Coppola's forte is not romance. Like humor, it takes a certain type of finesse to do romance well, and Coppola doesn't have it. Romance and comedy are not his strong suits. But The Godfather doesn't need to be these things. The Godfather doesn't need to be anything. After all, like Tom Hanks said,
The Godfather is the I Ching. The Godfather is the sum of all wisdom. The Godfather is the answer to any question.